It really was no secret that one of the big issues back in 2016, pretty much obviously to leaving, and then even after, would and always would be about fishing. But of course, do you hear anything about fishing in the news now? Do Brexiteers even bring up anything about fishing? Has Nigel Farage, the supposed champion of fishermen in the UK, has he even gone and stepped foot on a fishing vessel since 2016? I very much doubt it. Why? And unfortunately, is as we were saying, even back all the way back in 2016, the fishermen were basically being used certainly by Nigel as well as the other key Brexiteers and even the Leave campaign to essentially fuel a movement who were, well, very much against the EU. But even back then, you look at what sort of the common fishery agricultural policy, the common fisheries policy was. Different, getting my policies mixed up. It was actually very, very beneficial to the UK fishermen. Like I say, one of the big advantages, if you get a catch and you look at your computer that says you can take it to France or the Belgium or the Netherlands to get more money for it, then you could. And that's what most British fishermen did, because as we've expressed many, many times, the UK fishing industry is not really that big. It's worth less than 1% to the UK. It is not a really big fishing industry, but it does obviously provide a lot of jobs, certainly in these coastal regions. And most of these coastal regions have been ignored for years, and especially the fishing industry as well. You look at other fishing industries in Europe, yeah, they complain all the time, but they have subsidies for fuel, all kinds of stuff to help them out. The British government doesn't really do anything. And again, if these Brexiteers were so concerned, once again, many of the problems caused, or at least the fishermen would complain about, were never, quote, EU problems. There was a fact that the UK government just, well, weren't supporting them. So we're going to go into this interesting blog called The Fish Farmer. All the news for your latest fishing, like I say, to continue my title of Kingfish when we come to talking about fishermen. So we're going to go that into the moment, but before we do that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, there is the YouTube subscription button as well. We get all sorts of little bells and whistles when you subscribe to that as well. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So, on with this. And like I said, this comes from the Fish Farmer. For all the latest industry news, markets, and jobs in aquaculture. So, the news of this is the UK fishing industry reports Brexit woes. Are we surprised? Not at all. So, Brexit was welcomed by many in the UK fishing industry, but overwhelmingly, it is now a cause of anger and disappointment. So says a report from the House of Commons All-Party Parliamentary Group on Fisheries, which sets out the results of a survey of the sector. Are we surprised about this? No, absolutely not. The fishermen were just at that time really useful tools, really useful pawns. I made multiple videos, a couple of videos even before 2016, saying, hey, fishermen, you do realize, Nigel is not your friend. He's not the fisherman's friend. He is just using you as a really convenient political tool. You really shouldn't be, aligning with him, but of course, unfortunately, they chose to. And, well, they're very much in a situation of their own making. So, anyway, as well as the issues for the quotas for wild catch fisheries, the report also finds that the UK seafood industry has been struggling with, guess what, increased paperwork for exports to the European Union and labour shortages following the new restrictions on recruiting staff from the EU. Are we shocked? Not at all. What did we say was going to happen? Exactly what was put on there. Not surprised at all. Anyway, it continues. In the winter of 2021, The APG, or the All Parliamentary Group on Fisheries, released a survey to try and collate the experience of Brexit as reported by members of the fishing industry. The responses revealed significant and shared concerns around financial losses and the long-term viability of individual businesses, fishing fleets, and other parts of the industry, including processors and transporters. Exporters have routinely struggled to get their shipments through the border, resulting in losses of income or, in extreme cases, entire markets. While small scale fisheries have felt unable to compete with larger EU vessels, which have even retained some access to UK waters until at least 2026. One respondent, for example, said that sales to the EU have fallen by 65 to 70% on mollusks, and around 60% of live crustaceans and remaining sales have been to wholesalers instead of bespoke, smaller, more profitable merchants and retailers. The economics of these formerly more profitable smaller sales have been destroyed because of costs such as the health certifications, customs checks, and VAT agency fees. We always said this was going to happen right from the start. There will be all these new tariffs, all these new rules, all this new regulation, all this red tape. And this was obvious it was going to happen because we in the UK do not eat fish. On the continent, they eat a heck of a lot more fish than we do. So why on earth would fishermen cut off their biggest access? Like you say, you've got there 65, 70% on mollusks, 60% on live crustaceans. Again, the vast majority of fish goes to the EU. So why on earth would you cut off your biggest market? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you get really down into this. The exporters experienced have delays due to increased qualifications of the paperwork, which has had a knock-on effect on processing times. One respondent shared their view that nearly all lorries entering the EU from the UK were being physically checked at the border posts in comparison to the spot checks being perceived to be taking place on shipments from countries such as New Zealand. As previously reported by Fish Farmer, the EU's imports rules, which include most of the UK's live bivalve shellfish, which have had a devastating effect on farming and wild-caught shellfish producers. Fishing businesses have also reported that the agreement also has finally reached with the EU on fishing quotas has left the industry no better off when the UK was still a member state. What round of applause to the fishermen, guys. A number of respondents also noted that both the quotas and the auction system, and now the new challenges for exports to EUs, disproportionately is impacted on smaller producers who are even less able to deal with them than pay the larger players were. A summary of the recommendations and respondents to the surveys included ensuring quotas are more distributed easily to more managed more fairly, further restricting the non-UK fishing fleet access to waters sooner than 2026. That's not going to happen because they signed an agreement with that. Ensuring the efficient and exclusive management of domestic stocks, working with the EU to free up trade, remove regulatory and financial barriers. Again, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Implementing more restrictions on access to the UK waters from non-UK fishing fleets. Again, not happening at least foreseeable future. Investing in infrastructure, new markets at home and abroad. Again, your closest market is the EU. They eat far more fish than we do. That's just the fact. Alistair Chairman, the MP and Vice Chair of the group, saying, having raised the myriad of challenges faced by the fishermen and the wider seafood industry numerous times with the government in the past 2 years, and the work of the All Parliamentary Group has been vital in gathering evidence across the sector. This timely report provides a director of insight to the unique criticisms and circumstances of our fishing industry and has now faced a result of the new trading conditions and will be a crucial resource for those in Parliament and governing to try and support this sector. Again, most of these problems vanish instantly the second you rejoin the single market and customs union or even re-sign up back to the common fisheries policy. Where are we? Yes, the report was co-funded by the Seafarers Charity and the Fishers Charitable Trust, part of the Fishmongers Company. Tina Barnes, the head of the Impact and Seafarers Charity, said, "This report shines a light on what is needed for policy help to help support the UK's fishermen who have suffered many negative impacts on their livelihoods as a result of Brexit. Paying heed to these recommendations from the industry members themselves would help to ensure that they at least get the assistance they need." They're probably not going to get that assistance that they need, because at the end of the day, the UK government really didn't pay attention to fishermen before. What makes you think they're going to pay attention to fishermen now? Alistair Carmen concluded that based on the correspondence I received and received personally, and the accounts contained in the report, it is very clear that more and better engagement is needed, and pragmatic, serious efforts to try and support the fishing industry are required from ministers in order to ensure that coastal communities can continue to thrive in the future. We said this was going to happen. It's happening. The fishing industry is probably going to get even smaller. You're going to certainly see a lot of smaller producers probably go out of business. And you know, the facts are there to see. We in the UK do not eat as much fish as just the UK based fishers catch. Like, we just simply do not eat that amount of enough fish. However, on the continent they do. And again, the thing with fishing is, the second you catch a fish and you take it out of the water, you've got to get it to the buyer or the market as quickly as possible. You cannot delay, because obviously as the freshness goes down, the less that fish is worth. So you need to get it to the market as quickly as possible. And the fact that we have now put all these trade barriers, and yes, because of course the government decided to push for the hardest Brexit possible, that is not possible for any of these fishermen. And again, they were sold the lie by people like Nigel Farage and other Brexiteers who said, "Yeah, fishermen, you're going to be, you're going to be happy. You're going to be as happy as clams. Brexit's going to be wonderful." And they sold you all these fantasies about how wonderful and the revival of the British fishing industry that Brexit would bring. But of course, as we said at the time, none of that is going to happen. The problems of the British fishing industry were never caused by the EU. In fact, most of the problems that Brexiteers love to bring up about in this country are not caused by the EU. They are homegrown problems created by the British government through lack of investment, straight up not caring about certain industries because, well, they're not really, shall we say, economically as attractive to, as other industries are. The fishing industry is worth less than 1% of UK GDP. It's absolutely nothing when you compare it to service sectors, banking, insurance. It's worth nothing. So why do you think that all of a sudden MPs are going to start sort of listening to you now? And yeah, you've had this all parliamentary group, but I'll start to believe it when we start to see some serious legislation. But trust me, you ain't going to see any at all. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page, and of course my one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, there is the YouTube subscription thing as well, where you get all sorts of bells and whistles when you subscribe. And of course, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much to all the other people who do help and support the channel. And as always, we'll see you all next time.